We don't need a popular story, right? But it's a good thing to have situational awareness of what's going on in this world for real. Not the surface, not the secrets, but the truth. So that we don't deceive ourselves, looking for a sunny day when in fact it's going to rain. Or looking for rain when in fact an ice storm is going to overtake us.
We are not afraid to entrust the people with unpleasant facts, foreign ideas, alien philosophies, and competitive values.
And now for something completely different.
For a nation that is afraid to let its people judge the truth and falsehood in an open market, it is a nation that is afraid of its people.
Completely different.
Things are quite serious. You know, it's only a matter of time before the USA and Europe is drawn into a conflict we don't want to be a part of. We're not starting it. We're going to be pulled into it. See, something happened this morning, and we're going to be pulled into it. And we are. Things are forming right now. We're going to be pulled into it. And I want you guys to be aware of that so you're not shaken by it. And we know that's been a long time since heavy weapons have been used. They're bringing heavy weapons out, not lightweight assault vehicles. Heavy weapons. Iran has reinforced the armor of many of their vehicles. Why would they do that in the last 10 days? Why is Saudi Arabia having things mounted right now? Why is Israel on alert right now? Why do they expect a missile launch right now? See, things are happening, they're out of control. And while that's happening, what are we doing in the US and Europe and the UK? We're arguing over policy. You have the Brexit issue, which is consuming lots of people's attention. That's where the main focus is for everybody over there. It's almost like they forgot about terrorism, isn't it? Over here, what do we have? We have a Republican-Democrat problem. A very divisive House. They're divided. It's almost like they're not even paying attention to anything. We're about to be effectively tied by the hands. And you might want to know, they've always vowed to give us a surprise strike. All those who have been a part of foreign policy in the Middle East, you know that you cannot ever turn your back on those folks who believe in their own faith. To burn America to the ground and to burn Israel to the ground, they will never withdraw. That is part of their faith. That's what they believe, and no one can fight another man's faith. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, they're going to stick to that bottom line, faith-based, devout declaration. And at the right opportunity, when they feel they have the advantage, they will strike without warning. They have the weaponry. Russia will be in position in less than 16 hours, I estimate. Now, I'm saying that because when Russia comes down with all that equipment, it eventually will be used for the Middle East. To understand tactics is to realize you have to follow the equipment, not so much the people. Stop looking at the people and start looking at what's being bought where. If you see heavy weapons being bought into a place, it does not matter who's bringing them. It matters what's being brought in. And when you see missile batteries moving into place, Russian missile batteries, but the ones capable of launching nuclear weapons and chemical weapons and biological weapons, they're a bit different, an upgrade from what they had last time. You better watch out, because Russia may not be the ones utilizing those launchers. These are launchers, not missile defense platforms. These are offensive platforms. These are air-to-air and air-to-ground missile systems. Even the radar net activated in 2015, it was fortified and then it was certified. In 2017 and 18, that thing is ready to go. So they have the entire Middle East covered. Nothing can go into the Middle East and shoot anything with those automatic weapon response systems out there. Folks, and that's only the beginning. That's not the grunt of it. And when it takes place, that's not going to be the end. It will not be the end. Most people have not experienced war like that in this lifetime, not on that scale. None of us have experienced nothing on that scale yet. Most of those people have died out. So we're largely ignorant of the price to pay for global war like that. And every time people become ignorant of what global war is, they end up doing it again. And after they suffer for many years, that's when they start putting a halt to it. And it always happens the same way. People become very irate, very mean. They become vicious one to another. There's internal divisions in government and everything else. And then a global war breaks out. And that's after many years of sorrow, suffering, and massive loss. Then people turn back to the living God. And then people begin to really put their sights on helping their brother. See, after World War II, you know what people did? They actually saw their neighbor. They actually did things for their neighbor. They did. They didn't have everything right, but they actually had their eyes back on their neighbor. Do you know what we're doing now? We're not looking at our neighbor. We're protecting ourselves. The same thing happens every single time. But this time we're going through a cycle of a civilization change. Historically, every time, every single nation, when in the nations the people rebelled against the government, multiple nations fell. I believe we're in that cycle this time. So they go through a couple big wars, but then nations are crumbled in ruin. Rome was a large city, a global city. What happened to it? It's in ruin. All global cities, all global governing places eventually end up in ruin. They go through those cycles, and it always begins with the people losing all trust in their leadership. That's happening now. And once the government begins to fight against one another because they were plotting against each other in Rome right before they fell, and they began to do things, and when they started the protests inside of the Senate in Rome, that was the beginning of the end. And we're having protests in Washington, D.C. inside of Congress. We're not talking about people from the streets. We're talking about people in Congress are protesting against people in Congress. People in Congress are against people in Congress. There have been some evil things done in Congress, some illegal firings in Congress. I mean, people are feeling great heat because now you have a loyalty problem. Right now in Washington, D.C., you're either loyal to the president or you have a loyalty like against the president. So a fight's about to break out. Maybe that's why NORTHCOM is ready to go. Civil defense forces are put in a ready state. Letters have been sent out to so many people telling them, you might want to get in shape. Recalls of those who thought they were out of service or their ticket has been punched. And not for death either. Come on back. We might need you. You're on standby. People effectively being put on standby because of the unrest in the White House. And it's not a game. Kind of reminds you of something, right? The ST, I'll call it that, not the SS, but the STST. You guys know what that is? First word, stone. Last word, what? Steps. Kind of reminds you of that, right? And we do have an occupation of some different forces here because they're going to be attached to a brand new unit with a brand new purpose. The simulations have already gone through. The drills have already gone through. Soldiers are about to fulfill those positions. Things are quite serious. And I'm telling you now without warning, your whole life can change. Folks, in these days, let's help everybody we can, everybody that will accept, to walk in a greater truth. Just as Jesus asked us to walk. I don't know about you, but I'm going back to those things of Christ Jesus. And I will assert them within myself once again. To have that walk that Jesus said was pleasing unto the Father. Not the walk pleasing unto men. You know why? I want nothing to hinder me during the time when somebody cries out for help. You guys ever been in a position where you couldn't help somebody? I never want to go through that again. And I know that if I have any lack in my faith, I'll go through that again. For that reason. I don't want to be hindered. I don't want to be resisted. Not by my own slothfulness or ignorance or failure to be an obedient child of the living God. I want Satan's hands tied so I can respond. I don't want to be the one that needs help. I want to be the one that's helping. I don't want anyone to come to my rescue. I want the Lord to strengthen me so I can be of some use to somebody else in their time of great need. You know why? Because the Lord never failed to show up in my time of great need. So I owe a debt of love, and no one owes me anything. These times are quickly approaching. I think you can partially see right now the Lord's been preparing you through your life for some very difficult moments. Difficult by way of choices. Because you don't know who to trust. Even looking at that, not knowing who to trust, didn't the Lord raise you by people betraying you? He was teaching you, talking to you the entire time. He was showing you you can't trust everybody. In order to know who you can trust, you have to trust in the Lord first. Because everybody has a potential to betray. You just don't know when they're going to betray. Or if they'll betray. I'm going to say God bless you. No, we need the Lord's truth more than ever now. Hey, God bless all of you. Listen, guys, as much as you're able, forgive everybody of all things. Don't let the actions of a person cause you to be condemned in the eyes of the Lord.
Reality is merely an illusion. What remains is the raw, shocking, humiliating truth at the bottom.
And now for something completely different.
The truth is out there. Never stop searching.
Completely different.
Follow us on
Proceed to exit.
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. If it's not the raw news, it is just news.
Completely different.
Subscribe today because I like it raw.